Hey, welcome to Globe Gospel. This podcast is where we talk about real faith for real life. No fluff, no filters, just the gospel and how it hits different when you're actually trying to follow Jesus today. Glad you're here. Let's get into it right now. Alright, now I also have a guest with me today. My little sister. So, say hello.
Hi.
Hi. Now we will not say our names. We're going to stay anonymous for this for now. We will say names maybe later on, but for now we're going to stay without names. Alright, so today for the first podcast, I was kind of thinking about just starting off with just introducing, kind of getting to know each other, introducing who I am. You tell me in comments or, reach out to me, tell me who you are, all about you. If you want to collaborate, you want to talk, whatever. So first off, this is obviously Globe Gospel, but this is my second brand out of the two I have. So the other one is Memento, Mori music, and I started that. When did I start that?
I don't know, really, because I don't know. I just don't listen to your music enough. I don't feel like.
Oh, okay. So you don't listen to music enough where you'll know when it happened. Let me look at it real quick. Alright, so it says 2 months since So I have this song that I made 7 or 9 months ago where it's called Falling Under. That was when I was first starting to actually learn how to produce music and stuff, but it wasn't it wasn't really me trying to get into music. And then I didn't post another song again. That was actually more of an accident really than anything. But I didn't post again till only 2 months ago. And that was when I was like, okay, let's actually start trying to post music, kind of let people hear me and hear who I am. That's when I started calling myself Memento Mori music and, all that good old stuff. Made a logo through the Shopify app, logo stuff. That's where I made my logo. But then of course, I have a new logo looking thing. But yeah, so that's how that's how long I've been doing it, but only about 2 months, and for posting music and actually getting serious about it and being consistent. Before that, I wasn't very consistent. Cause it's when did I start that? Oh shoot, I can't remember what I was gonna say now. Oh yeah, cause it's when I first started with the music stuff, how often did you see me making music in my room or playing my guitar? How often really was that?
I didn't really see you do it, but I can hear you play the guitar.
You can hear me play the guitar sometimes?
Yeah, but I don't watch or listen for whenever you do that. I'm not a stalker.
Yeah, so I don't feel I might play my guitar at times. I'd play my guitar a lot. I'd go through a phase. Same with the music. I'd go through a phase where it would be a week. Where I'd be going I'd make a whole bunch of songs. Just kind of playing with it, just kind of having fun with it, really. Just playing with it and stuff, and then, but then I would kind of stop. And I'd go through these phases and stuff, and they were really quick. They were a week, maybe 2 weeks. So, with all that, I really didn't start trying to do it consistently till just recently, 2 months ago or so. And then even then, I didn't really have a schedule. I just kind of posted whenever, and then I didn't have a schedule till 2 weeks ago. So and then it's 2 weeks ago, so I scheduled. But I will say this that the beginning of this versus now, do you notice a big difference with how much I'm spending time on it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because even mommy, she was just he's spending so much time down with in his little studio area, making all this music stuff.
Yeah. So it's starting to get where it's noticeable how much I'm working on it, how hard I'm working on it. Especially this week, because just to let y'all know, next week I'm actually gonna be gone. I'm gonna be me and my little sister is gonna go to a youth camp.
Okay.
And father. So this week I was really busy because I had to I wanted to keep my schedule because I just got onto it. I didn't want to just like take a week off, which was kind of dumb, but I didn't want to. So I essentially doubled up. You know, I did all my work for this week and next week. You know, and to get it prepared and ready for me to post next week. So all I have to do is kind of keep up with it on my phone because I can't bring a laptop or a tablet. You know, so I had to keep up with it on my phone. So I did have to do that. But yeah, I mean, and I'm able to do this because, like, you know, right now I started doing it when I was employed. I was working at, I was a lifeguard, you know, but then recently got unemployed and looking for a job. But it's like, you know, here lately, you know, like this week I said to put a lot of time in it because, you know, I'm unemployed. I'm not working at the moment. So I'm just like, okay, well, if I'm not going to be working, yes, I'm going to put a lot of energy into finding a job. I'm also going to put like that much more energy into doing this and making this work and kind of getting this going. Hopefully it'll be more smooth after this. But yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. So like, but sis, so like, what do you think? Do you think this is gonna be like worth it? Do you think put my time into this well? You know, do you think it'll go well for me? Do you think I should just quit? Like, what do you think?
Okay, so if you're putting this much effort into it, I hope it is worth it. But I mean, I think what you're doing is good, not just for like the people who are following you, but for the people who's like listening. And I think it's just good for you because you need something to do.
That is true. You know, it gives me something to focus on, something, because like I always have to have my mind focused on something, a goal, something to work on. You know, I can't just sit around and do nothing, or like I can, and I have, but when I do, it's not good for me. You know,
yeah.
I get really depressed. I get, you know, it just affects me in a negative manner. So I mean,
we do not want that.
Yeah, we don't. Yes, we do not want Big Bro to be cranky. So
no, he is not good when he's cranky.
Yeah, but so yeah, that's how kind of like I've been doing it. But yeah, so like, you know, going through like, you know, how I've been doing it and, you know, working through it. You know, here lately I've been trying to figure out, really just playing around and trying to figure out and get myself a footing on what type of music I want to make. Because like here lately, and what I've been primarily doing and what I've been marketing is I do like lo-fi and hip hop beats, you know, but like I'm still playing around with like, do I want to make like Christian rap beats? You know, do I want to just focus on that? Do I want to be a strictly Christian producer, or do I want to just be like a regular producer that can help and make with Christian artists and secular artists? Do I want to? That kind of stuff, you know, because like, I mean, you know, sis, we've been talking about how I need to make sure I don't compromise on my beliefs.
Yeah.
With this. You know, because like, you know, like okay, let's do this. What would be some beliefs you would not compromise if you were in my shoes and doing music like this? What were some like beliefs? Like, what is some stuff you would not compromise on when you're making music with somebody?
I mean, like, obviously, if the person's like gay, I wouldn't want to like try to do stuff with them.
Okay, so if they're gay, you don't want to work with them. Okay.
And like, I don't know, if they're what's the word? The people who definitely like don't want to listen to God and just don't believe in God.
Okay, so they're very just not Christian and they're
atheists.
Atheists. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
If they're atheist or gay, you don't want to work with them.
Yeah, and
you want to be a little bit more strict on, like, you know.
Definitely.
Okay. So like here lately, what I've been doing, you know, I don't like, you know, message people in their DMs to be like, you know, or if they message me, you know, my first question is not gonna be like, do you believe in God? Are you a Christian? What church do you go to? You know, so like I don't do that kind of stuff. Usually, what I do is I listen to their music. If they're like a rapper who's like constantly talking about drugs, women, sex, that kind of stuff, like if it's like a constant thing, I choose not to work with them. You know, I choose not to work with them. Mainly just because somebody like that is not gonna want to work with me because I do have some rules when you work with me. I guess you say. I don't like to call it rules, but that's pretty much what they are. But if you're not like that and your music, like, it doesn't have to be Christian, but if it's like wholesome and it's like just decent music,
you want preferences.
I have preferences. I'm cool with that. So like, you know, one thing is I don't want it to be explicit. So like, I'm gonna ask you just not to cuss on their song. If you cuss in your songs, I'm not gonna hold that against you. That's your choice, you know. But unless you're like this explicit, if you're like explicit and you're constantly cussing and really just using some crazy language, then I'm gonna be like, nah, I'm good. But if you use some cuss words in there, I'm not gonna make a big deal. I'm just going to ask for you not to cuss when you're doing it with me, because I want to make music for everybody. So I want to, because like part of the thing too is me being a Christian homeschooler. With my parents growing up, my parents would not let me listen to any explicit music. So I don't want to make music that that kid or a Christian teenager or whatever can't listen to.
Yeah.
Because even though I'm not the one cussing, there's some other guy, I'm just the producer, blah, blah, blah. If I'm going to put it on my artist profile, I want it to be wholesome and for everybody. And I want it to be something that'd be good for the soul. Because, like, I don't want it to be, and that's why I'm like, I don't know for sure if I want to do Christian, but just strictly Christian, because if I do just strictly Christian, that's not reaching to like the secular audience, that could limit my opportunities, blah blah blah, that could make or non-Christians might not want to listen to my music and all that good old jazz, right? But at the same time, I can't like compromise on my beliefs, and I can't just pretend I'm not a Christian.
Yeah.
And I personally prefer Christian rap. I prefer Christian rap. I prefer listening to more strictly Christian music. Do I listen to secular music? Yes. Do I listen to music with cussing? Yes. But I generally don't do that very often, or if I do, it's very low, not as good. Great. Sis over here, though, she's like strictly Christian. It's gotta be like, and it's not even just regular Christian. It's like she doesn't even, like, you can listen to some Christian rap, but you don't prefer Christian rap. You're like the Christian pop, happy.
Yes.
Let's have a good day.
Some sad songs, but mostly just like yeah.
Yeah, because she loves Leanne Crawford, that kind of stuff.
She is my favorite single of all time.
Yeah. So like, and I'm a kind of guy like, I like a little bit of everything, really, truly. I can listen to about anything, everything. That's also why my music can, if I'm not careful, I can be all over the place with my music. So I have to be very careful with, like, okay, remember, you gotta play lo-fi, some hip-hop, but not even just regular hip-hop. It's gotta be chill hip-hop. Can't be like, crazy, like Travis Scott type beats. You can't be nothing like that. Can't be NF type beats, unless I'm doing like a producer challenge. So like, I just did, I've been doing videos too, trying to challenge myself to do other genres, which is really not that hard for me because I love other genres. I love doing all sorts of stuff, but it's a way for me to kind of test other genres out, and be able to play a little bit more than my niche, but have an excuse for it. Because it's like, because what I'll do is I'll put on the title, like, lo-fi hip-hop producer tries out rock music, which was like my last video, my first video, and my last video so far. I'll have more soon, but that's the last one I made, and in that video, I made a rock song. Of course I added hip-hop elements to it, but that was just because that's what flowed. So like, and so I'm trying to figure out, how to do all this, because even though I made it myself, lo-fi, chill hip-hop kind of, producer, I'm not going to be like, well, I can just never go out of that, or I will never go outside of that, because I very well might, but right now, that seems to be what's working, that seems to be what flows with myself and my personality, and so yeah, but I'm probably trying to make more Christian lo-fi soon, like that. There's a channel or an artist that's literally called Christian Lo-Fi. Mm. So like obviously not doing stuff like that, but like probably more my way, my style, my personality, that kind of stuff. So yeah, You know, and another weird thing is, like, I've been getting into a lot of R&B. A lot of R&B kind of stuff.
What's R&B?
R&B is like, it's like, it's similar to hip-hop, but it's like pop and hip-hop was, like, put into one. It's like where they meet in the middle, kind of. If that's the best way to describe it. That's not a good definition of it, but that's just kind of best way for me to describe it. So, like, I've been doing a lot of, like, lo-fi R&B, or lo-fi indie, and which is weird, because, you know the type of people who dominate the R&B space?
Who?
Usually very beautiful, singing black ladies, or sometimes men. But it feels like it's predominantly black women. Predominantly, that's why I feel like controls most of R&B. Not saying that's the only way you can do R&B, but, like, even the guys who do R&B are usually black, you know? Like, and so, like, for me as a, white guy to start doing, R&B is a little weird. So, my accent came out right there. I'm not even that country. I'm not even that country. But, for some reason, I guess I hang around enough country people where sometimes an accent can come back out.
She tries to be very country. Our older sister.
Older sister, yep, definitely tries to be country. So, that's kind of what I've been doing and trying to figure out the music stuff, trying to figure out how I want to do that and everything else. So, and then through that, I started the Christian. Oh, that is my timer. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to set another timer for 30 minutes. Hey, Google. Set a timer for 30 minutes.
Okay, 30 minutes. Starting now.
And yes, I have a cheap Motorola phone, but that's what you do when you get unemployed. Alright, so.
He broke his last phone.
I did break my last phone.
It was, like, cracked up and everything.
It was.
It was, like, shattered.
Yeah, it was shattered. Yeah, the screen started turning black. Okay, so either way, I started a Christian channel because, funny enough, I want to be a minister. That's really the career I want to go for. So, like, even though I want this to be a thing in the future, where this is like one of my main jobs, this is where I get a lot of income from. Like, I want this to work out really well. At the same time, I want to be able to do some hands-on ministry as well. I've thought about pastoralship and everything else, some other avenues as well. But through that, I was like, dang, I want to have a Christian channel. I want that to be part of my ministry, and I have big plans and big hopes and aspirations and ambitions for this Christian channel. What was your? Let's include little sis into this conversation. What is your? Just give me a thumbs up. What is your first? What was your first reaction when you found out that I started a Christian channel?
I was just like, wow, he's actually chasing after his dream. Because that's why I felt like before you started your own channel, you've always been into, like, music and stuff, and I'm just like, great. So now he's actually doing what I feel like you've been doing all along.
Okay. So, like, with me starting my music, my Christian channels, you're like, okay, he's actually pursuing what he truly wants to do.
Well, you also did that and, like, sciencey stuff.
Yeah, growing up, I was a very intellectual kid. I was a nerd for sure, and so I was very smart. I was very good at math, very good at science, specifically math and physics. That's why growing up I was always pushed to go into structural engineering, or I was told to be a lawyer because I loved arguing with people. I still like arguing with people. Don't I, sis?
Yes. You argue a lot.
I argue a lot, and I'm very good at arguing. I'm really good at debating. I like watching debates.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
If you do it right and at the right timing, it could be a good thing. Like, you can debate on topics in a healthy manner with still keeping a respect for the other person and keeping your cool down. But There's a difference between arguing and debating. Debating is a civilized disagreement, and you're talking about why each believes what they believe. And then arguing is emotional and everything else. Give us 1 second. I got another sibling bothering us. So annoying. You guys siblings try to bother you when you're doing a podcast. I don't know if I want to like edit this out or what. I might keep it in. I don't know. This shows my life. You know, I can't be by myself for even 3 minutes without somebody coming to bother me. It's all the time. Somebody coming to bother me. You know, my mother called me a second ago. I paused it. So yeah, I don't know when Grace is gonna come back. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing with the Christian channel. You know, like right now, I've just been doing YouTube shorts because, like, you know,
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, she is back.
Had to take her up to upstairs.
Upstairs, okay. Well, see, like I was telling them, right now with the Christian channel, I've just been doing like YouTube shorts, you know, and everything else, and you know, because I'm trying to, like, you know, with our generation, you know, we tend to be a scroll kind of type of people. We just scroll on TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, that kind of stuff, and we just scroll and we just mindlessly watch this crap, you know. And it's like, what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring thought-provoking, somewhat entertainment, but also just information and if it's like theology, Bible facts, you know, Christian lifestyle, faith, that kind of stuff. Trying to bring it to that culture to kind of somewhat give them a light in that culture, because that culture is very toxic. To give them a light and to hopefully bring them into a more like culture that has depth. So what I've been doing is I'll take them in, you know, and what I'll do is I'll try to get their attention through this, you know, very fast, like, you know, very like grabbing your attention short, try and get it to do that, but then grab your attention to bring you to like a bunch of links in my description that takes you to like a bunch of articles and books and stuff to research, you know, or just scripture, you know, stuff to actually use your brain for. And so, you know, I've been doing that. And then, you know, another cool thing is that I use them as a way to market my music too, because which right now, so far, every short has been the same song. And it's not even like the song is very good for YouTube shorts. They fit very well with that vibe, but as like by itself, it's not like a good song. It's a very good like background song, you know, and that's about it. You know, but it's called, if you want to know the song, it's called Your Love by Memento, Mori. Yeah, but it's and I have two versions of it. I have one with the vocals and one without. I use the one without the vocals for the YouTube shorts. So, you've seen some of my YouTube shorts. What do you honestly think about it?
The ones that I have seen, I think feel good, but like, I mean, I haven't seen them here recently, so I can't like really remember what they look like exactly. But the ones I have seen, I think they're pretty good. I mean, obviously, me, I don't go scrolling through stuff because I don't have a phone and I have
Gracie
a
does not have a
tablet.
phone yet. She's got a tablet that's got heavy restrictions on it.
But yeah, it's not heavy restrictions, not yet, because Daddy hasn't put the restrictions on it yet.
Yeah.
But my other little siblings who have a tablet, their restriction is on, but just by watching the stuff that you've shown me, I think it's pretty good.
Okay.
That's really
Fair
all I
enough.
have to say.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. And so, like, I had her reaction, which is, is pretty good, and Joshua thinks it's pretty good. When I showed Father for the first time, he saw it, like, I can't remember what happened, because he hasn't been that active or interested in my stuff.
Neither has Mommy.
Yeah, she hasn't. Well, she's shown a little bit more interest, but not much.
Not really.
So either way, Father, I can't remember if he asked me or if I just was going to show him or what. But he saw, and it was like my first one, I think. It was like my first short. And he was like legitimately very impressed. He was very impressed. He was not expecting it to be that well done. And to an extent, my first reaction was like, oh, like it felt so good, because I made him happy, I made him proud. That was a big moment for me. But then, of course, then I started thinking about it. I'm like, why was he that impressed? Like, did he just not think I was going to do well? Like,
apparently not.
Apparently not. But either way, he was very impressed.
Which is good.
And which is very good. And the only thing is that he kind of has been. The only thing he's really told me about this though is that he just kind of says like, kind of be careful, because he's like, with all the comments, they're going to be very hateful. Sometimes. Definitely, because I've had a lot of hateful comments, for sure. So there's that, and then there's, so it's like kind of be careful, but also to be careful about not saying something about your beliefs that you might one day regret.
Yeah, because,
like, don't say, like, I'm an Arminian, and then one day you'll end up being a Calvinist.
Yeah.
Or saying, hey, I believe that, I don't know, I know, like, like a lot of these young teenage guys, who are like a super duper Christian or whatever, and they say like, I believe women should just not talk in church and they should just shut up and blah, blah, blah. Like, they're very anti-women, that kind of stuff. But that's them now, because they're a teenage guy, they listen to too much Andrew Tate, and they just have this reaction. Grace doesn't know what Andrew Tate is.
No.
Well, I don't feel like explaining to you, so let's.
Okay.
Either way. He's essentially a figure who's very controversial, and in my opinion, he says some truthful things, but he also says some very not truthful things. Like a lot of not truthful things. So.
Okay. That's all I really need to know.
So yeah, and then so yeah, that's that's what I've been doing. But then talking to I do go to therapy. And I was talking to my therapist, and we were talking about it, and he was like, his concern was that I was only making YouTube shorts, and I was only putting out shallow stuff. And he's like, you need to start doing really in-depth stuff. And he's like, you talk a ton. You should do a podcast.
Yeah. Joshua, he talks a lot too.
Yeah, he's also 9.
Well, yeah. But you're both similar in that way.
Yeah, we are. So, I think I wanted to do this. So I was like, okay, yeah, maybe I should do, a podcast and talk about some of the stuff more in depth of what I'm doing in my shorts and stuff. Kind of talk about it. Get a lot of people get to know to me. Maybe people will like it. That kind of thing. And to be honest, I've always kind of liked to do podcasts and like articles, writing articles. Yeah. I would love to start writing articles about different Christian topics and everything else. Because again, I like debating, and that is a good way to start holding debates and not hurt people's feelings. Because you will hurt some feelings, but like, it's writing an article and talking about your point of view and your thoughts is different than you doing it in person because in person you're more likely to hold all these emotions. Not saying you can't write emotions into a paper, but it's easier to look after, like, okay, let me take this out. Let's not write this. That has a little bit too emotion, too much opinion, too much whatever in it, you know? So yeah, that's what, that's why I started a podcast, to essentially create a more in-depth content as well. It's because I'm not planning on this to hit very well. Like, I do not think this is going to hit very well. But my hope, because we were talking about this, my hope is that I will build up enough content like this that eventually one of my YouTube shorts that are not very in-depth will just like really, really hit. And, or I go on some other channel, or like somehow I get more exposed through YouTube shorts and everything else, and the stuff that's more like popular, I get exposed through that. And then what will happen is I'll have a ton of content like this, just kind of here and ready for people, and people start coming to it then. So like essentially what I'm saying is like, it's not gonna work right now, but I'm hoping that when the time comes, everybody will come in and swarm in on this content. And I'll have enough of this content backed up where I won't have like a 15 minutes of fame. It'll be like substantial enough where people are like actually interested and they want to hear what I gotta say.
Even when you're dead.
What? Why do you gotta add that? Why do you have to add that? Even when you're dead.
Because that's something that
it's
you
like
should
a legacy.
Hope. Yeah, you should hope for that though too.
Legacy.
Because like when
actually,
you're dead,
have you heard of that song? You probably haven't. I remember hearing this song when I was younger, and I loved it. I didn't really understand it, but I loved it. But it's a Christian song, and it goes like, I don't want to leave a legacy. I don't want people to remember me.
I think
Only
I pulled that in a movie.
Jesus.
I think I pulled that in a movie.
Sorry for my terrible singing, guys. I was just trying to give you an idea of what
I
I'm
don't
talking
think
about.
you're that bad at singing. You sing in the choir.
I do sing in the choir, but even though I sing, because like, by the way, guys, I'm also a choir singer at my church. So is Gracie right here, and I'm also a drummer and bassist at my church. So that's what I do in the weekends. I essentially do the music for. I don't lead the music, but I contribute to the music for my church. So yeah, and then I do a lot of music also for oh crap, there's this homeschool band near us that I play for as well, and we'll do like, I've been at revival services and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So either way, yeah, and then let's talk about this real quick. So I started off this channel called Christian 14s because I wanted this to be like a cool thing. Like, I even had a slogan and everything. It said
A t-shirt.
a Christian teen helping other Christian teens, because I'm a Christian teen, and it was like me talking and helping other Christian teens. Like, the content I was making was more geared for teenagers. It was made for teenagers. But, a few weeks in, I started get my shorts hit pretty well, like off the gate. They're getting, like 1,000 views pretty quick, which is, for me, is pretty good. With me just now starting it, like not even, like maybe a month ago, maybe, for the Christian part. But, so, I make these things and everything, and you get statistics back. One of the statistics is you get like age ranges of like what age range listens to your content, and I find out that 0% of my viewers are teenagers. And like, I think it was like 20% was like 30 to 40, and another 20 was like 40 to 50. And I'm just like, what the heck? I mean, like, what?
But that just means that like older people, like
more mature adults,
Yeah.
The millennial generation, the mature adults who are also immature enough to be on, YouTube, but they essentially like my content. And that's awesome. That's cool. I'm okay with that. But then I start thinking, I'm like, why am I called Christian for Teens if no teenager listens to my content? Because I'm like, even though I still want to try to reach to the teenagers, I still want them to watch my content. Because I feel like my content is still somewhat made for them. I also though don't want to be discriminatory against all of the older people that's like my parents' age, you know. So I went to AI because I use AI a lot through all this, trying to give me ideas, trying to give me starting points. You know, for like a script, I'll get AI to like write me a script, and then I'll change the script. But I use what the structure AI gave me. I'll use the structure to kind of help guide me into like what works, but still making the work my own. But either way, I use AI. I was like, trying to figure out some good names I could use that's not already used. Which I think this name is used, but I don't think it's used by anybody big enough where it matters. Like, no, I'm serious. Like, I'm pretty sure I found the person that was using it was had nothing to do with my kind of content, completely different type of content. Like, we were different enough where I don't think it'll be a big problem, and we're both small creators, so I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Let's hope.
I really hope it's not a problem, because if I get into this and I'm starting really well and my stuff is growing, and then all of a sudden I get sued for copyright or whatever, I'm gonna be very upset. But either way, I named it Glow Up Gospel, and the whole slogan is like having like a fire glow up. The whole meaning behind it, not slogan, but meaning behind it is having a fire glow up or transformation through the gospel. Now, Gracie, do you know what a glow up is?
A glow up?
A glow up.
No.
Okay, this is very important. I'm going to need to pull out my phone to give you a technical definition of this very important term.
Very important.
Very important. Give me a second. Give me a few more than a second. Glow up meaning. Okay. Glow up is a slang term particularly popular on social media that refers to a positive personal transformation, often in appearance, but can also include changes in confidence, maturity, and personal or professional life. So essentially, it is growth in an area. Now, typically, it is about your appearance. So, like, usually a glow up, like, they'll have, like, a Instagram reel or a TikTok or whatever saying, look at my glow up. And it's usually about, a guy who went from fat to chiseled abs.
Like a big transformation.
Like a big transformation in like your body. But I'm using that as the gospel. Like, so you glowed up with your Christian walk. And that's the point of what I want to do. I'm trying to work people through the sanctification process. If you do not know what sanctification means, that essentially means, so in this Christian life, why did I say it like that? In this Christian life, we have 3 stages. We have we have justification, when you're justified, meaning you get saved. We have the sanctification process, which is, after you get saved, but before you die, you are growing and becoming more Christ-like. And that's the whole point of it, is you growing in your walk and in your faith. And then you have the glorification, which is when you get to heaven, you're made perfect, and God glorifies you as a daughter or son of God. So that is, my ministry, my conviction, and what I've been gifted by the Lord is to help with the sanctification, which is trying to grow in your faith, trying to understand the Bible more, trying to know how to defend your faith through apologetics, which is very important and part of what I do too. I do a lot of apologetics. And understanding the Bible, understanding different theology, that kind of stuff. Because, truly, Gracie, how much people know theology in our generation? How much people do you think actually knows theology or knows much about the Bible, period?
okay, so theology point, barely anybody.
Yeah.
But like people who know about the Bible, I think they're all like.
No, not know about the Bible, but know what's in the Bible. That kind of stuff.
I think there is a few people.
Well, okay, maybe a few. Okay, maybe a few.
Because I don't think our generation is so bad not to know anything.
Well, I will say this. You live in a town that is predominantly Christian. So people around here, yeah, most people around here know at least something about the Bible. At least something.
Yeah.
But teenagers as a whole, I would say...
Not much.
There's actually probably... I would say we're in the minority of teenagers who know a good deal about the Bible. You know, I think we're in the minority. I think a lot of teenagers probably think they know more than what they actually do. A lot of people do. A lot of people... Like, that's the other thing. I get this comment section, and I mean, like, bro, these comments are, like, crazy. Like, they spout the most random, like, crazy stuff that's, like... They just essentially prove how uneducated they are about these topics. They show how uneducated they are. And they show that they think they're educated because they listen to, like, one podcast, which obviously there's nothing wrong with podcasts because I'm making one, but they listen to, like, one podcast that says something that they like, and they just accepted it as the truth.
They're like, oh, okay, so this is what you're saying. Oh,
Yeah,
I know
they never did any research on their own. At all. And they...
Which is not good.
You know, and especially and specifically the atheists. These atheists that I'm talking to in my comment section, bro, they are uneducated. Most of the time, they're just emotional and full of hate. They just don't like them. And they just call you dumb. Essentially, their argument is that you're dumb for believing that. I'm like, why? Because you're dumb. Obviously, that's not true. Why is it not true? Can you tell me a reason? They're like, no, because it's dumb. But I'm like, okay, well, let me show you why it's not dumb, right? And I give them articles, I give them research, and they're just like, they're dumb too. Oh, so you're calling like, I was like, you do realize that, you know, science came from Christianity, right? And they're like, well, those Christians didn't believe that. They didn't believe the whole Bible. Yes, they did. Some of them didn't, but not all of them. It wasn't like every freaking Christian priest denounced, you know, the creation account or Noah's Ark or whatever. No, a lot of them believed in that. You know, and then one guy was like, well, I can believe in Jesus and, you know, that he had good morals, or I'm okay with you believing that. I don't believe it, but I'm okay with you believing that. That's okay. That's not dumb. But saying that an old guy made an ark for all the animals on the earth, that's just hilariously dumb. I'm like, you do realize that you're saying that, like, okay, if a god can raise somebody from the dead like that, like, couldn't he do that too? And when the problem is, most of the time, I feel like the core issue has nothing to do with what we're talking about. The core issue is God real? And if he is real, is Christianity the true revelation from God? Is Christianity, does Christianity truly describe who God is? And here's the thing. Christianity cannot be partly true. It can't be.
Yeah.
It cannot be partly true. Because here's the problem. Christianity says it's the complete and utter truth. So for it to say, I'm the whole truth, that means that you have to either say it's none of it is true, or all of it's true. You cannot say that it's partly true. And when I say Christianity, I'm not meaning Christians' interpretation of the Bible. I'm talking about the Bible, okay? The actual foundation of Christianity, the Bible, you know, God's Word. Because I also understand that people can interpret the Bible very differently and also very wrongly, you know? And there's certain things that we're just always going to disagree about, and that's okay, you know? But yeah, so obviously I just want to rant. That shows, but that shows how passionate I am about this, and it shows why I want to do this, you know, and that's why I want to start making my own personal online ministry through this. Now I'll probably have to do something else, but you know, that's what I want to do. All right, but that's why I called it Glow Up Gospel. I like my logo and stuff. I had to make yesterday. I made my shirts and hoodies with it. Well, that's another thing. Like, I made shirts and hoodies with that Christian for Teens already.
Yeah.
And I was like thinking, like, do I need to take it down? Do I need to throw away my shirt that I got for Christian for Teens?
Okay, I don't think you should throw away your shirt.
Give me a second. Sorry. You don't think I should throw away my shirt? Okay.
No.
You know what's funny about that, though?
What?
I was planning on giving the shirt to you.
Yay.
Because it doesn't fit me anyway. Because it's shrunk. Well, not really that it shrunk. Like, it did shrink a little bit, but the main reason why it didn't fit me is because I ordered a adult small, and let's just say that turned out too small, and then it shrunk a little more, and I was like, well, dang, you know, this barely fits. It looks like a muscle shirt now, you know. Yeah. So either way, so I'm gonna give it to you, Gracie.
Yay.
But either way, the Christian for Teens, though, I'm gonna keep it up as like a product still. It's not like the logo anymore, though, you know, or the brand. I'm keeping it as like a product, essentially, to say, hey, you know, this is Christian for Teens. This is, you know, this. It's like a, I don't know. It's like another merch thing, you know, for a teenager who likes the logo or likes the design or whatever, and they're just like Christian for Teens, you know. But yeah, so I'm still gonna keep that. Where's that third timer? We got a few more minutes left. Second, sorry. Third. Second. Golly, Kirsty keeping me track here. Okay. Sorry, I had to drink my coffee. Okay. So,
He's tired.
I am tired. I worked on Kutsu this morning. I had to get rid of a bunch of Kutsu. So, let's wrap it up. What is your final thoughts, Gracie?
All I want to say is that I am proud of you for what you're doing, and don't leave me behind whenever you became a famous music artist.
Yep. Fair enough. I understand that, and well, okay. I'll say this: I cannot promise I'll stay in town, you know, stay in this area, but I can promise that I'll come back for Christmases, birthdays.
You better.
I'll still try to come back. Essentially, because, like, you know, I still love y'all. You know, I have a hard time with y'all. I disagree with y'all.
Not me.
Not you specifically, no. But, like, I have a hard time, I guess, because I'm extroverted, but at the same time, I'm very introverted. Okay, my personality is very bubbly. I can be very, you know, upbeat. You know, I could be very talkative. I'm very good with people. I have very good people skills. But I also love my alone time.
Yeah.
I love being alone, and I love just leaving me alone. Like, most of the time, I would rather just stay here, work on my music, or watch a movie, or whatever, instead of going out. You know, like, I'd
That's
rather
just
that.
you.
But, no, it's a lot of people. But I choose to go out, you know, because, whatever. But, yeah, so, don't worry. Yeah, I won't just, like, forget you or whatever. For sure.
You better not forget me.
Like I told you, you're the one I'm going to be coming back to pick up.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, yeah, that's what we're talking about today. We just kind of wanted to start off this first episode of just me talking about, you know, my music channel and my SoundCloud. You know, I'm distributing music now on all platforms. And how I'm working through that, I wanted to talk about my Christian channel, and, of course, Instagram and TikTok, too. How I'm doing with that, and just kind of where I'm going from here, Gotta get a new job, of course, so I might get more busier and harder to keep up with the schedule. So there's that. That might be a problem. I don't know for sure about that. Yeah. So what I'm planning on doing is like once a month, I'm going to take a Saturday to record a podcast, and then I'll use that one podcast and I'll chop it in half to create 2 episodes. And then I will, post that, and then I'll take even smaller bits of those podcasts, like really good moments of us talking or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'll use those moments for like, shorts or videos or whatever, to keep content going. But then I only have to record once a month. And that'd be a really good way to do it. I'm still going to do my AI shorts.
Yeah.
Just because I like them, to be honest. I just like doing them. They're pretty quick, pretty easy. Not quick. They're not really quick, but they're easy.
Yeah.
Just
like
because I'm not great at editing yet, and what it does is essentially gives me a foundation to work with.
Yeah.
To make it easier. It gives me like a foundation, which is really nice. So, and then of course my music channel, I don't use almost any AI. So, that's another thing. I can learn more through the music channel when it comes to that kind of stuff. But yeah, so, yep, that's what I'm doing, and that's how I'm going to work on it. I've been trying to make some of these podcasts for y'all to get to know me. And then I'll have a new guest probably every month. There'll obviously be returning guests. Gracie's definitely returning,
When?
I don't know. I don't have a schedule for that yet. Essentially, this is going to be like, this month, let me contact some people. Let me figure out who wants to be on, who's available, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And usually what's going to end up happening is either A, if no one's available, I'll use you, or B, I've already went through everybody else, and so I'm going to, cycle, I'll go back to you, So, whichever one comes first is when I'll use you again. Because, I want to talk to my pastor. I want to talk to... Hopefully I could get Father down here. But I don't know for sure that'll happen. And then Jonathan, my friend. Luke, my friend. All that. So, yeah.
Okay.
So, yep.
I'm the
that's...
extra person.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah. Well, they all are. Either way. So... That's it. That's the podcast for today. Just kind of want to talk about that. I went on a little bit of a Christian rant, which is cool. That's all about podcasts. It'll make good content, hopefully. And then, whoever watches this, love you. Don't know you, but I love you. And then...
He's doing this for you.
I'm doing this for you. For you to enjoy, listen to, whatever. If you're in the car, just listening to it, whatever. I'm doing it for you. And doing it for me, obviously, too, but I'm doing it for you. So, yep, this is Globe Gospel. We're signing out. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
I don't know who's in the call, but, I guess I'll end it. Oh, thank you.
Bye.
Okay, that was really weird. I better not do that again. I need to figure out a better way to close it. Okay, either way. Bye. Love you. Globe Gospel. Peace.
See ya.